Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Leading You. And with me today is Tory Archbold, and she is a voice of change for global leaders who want to own their brand narrative and stand in their authentic truth. She's a highly respected businesswoman, CEO, and founder of Powerful Steps, a global platform for women making significant impact. She has worked for over 25 years brand building, public relations, digital media, and events, partnering with some of the world's most influential CEOs and entrepreneurs. She's the author of Self Belief is Your Superpower and the host of the top 1.5% podcast globally, Powerful Stories. And I'm very, very privileged to call her my mentor and friend. So, welcome, Tori.
Oh, Julie, what an introduction. Thank you so much. And it makes me feel that I've earned my grey hairs.
You definitely have the impact that you have made on this world and will continue to make. So I'm so excited to kick into this topic of self-belief because we're starting January. It's a brand new year, and I think this is an awesome thing for people to focus on to make sure that their 2025 is the best that it can possibly be for them. And of course, self-belief is key to that. So, my question for you is, you've called self-belief your superpower and you've named your book after it. So, can you take us back to a defining moment when you realized that self-belief was your greatest asset?
Such a great question. And I love that we're kicking off the new year really thinking about what we can do and what we will do, because we always write those lists about what do we want to step into? Who's going to say yes to us? But the truth is, so many people say no.
Mm,
And my self belief came, from rejection, where I had a big idea that I knew was going to work. And I coffee dated just to test it out with a lot of people. And they're just like, no, why would you do that? No, you can't do that. No, you don't have the foundation to do that. And honestly, I walked away from all of those meetings. It's happened to me twice in my life. Once when I was 24, before I started my global PR company, and the second time when I was 44, when I'd had an established brand and reputation and I wanted to step into powerful steps. And I just thought, I'm not going to listen to these people. They don't know what I'm capable of. I know, I trust myself, I back myself. If I fail, that's okay. But I don't want to die wondering. So I stepped into both of those businesses. And the reason why both of them have become successful is because I stepped into them anchored to my values of passion,
mm,
integrity, and delivery. So every decision that I made was backed through the power of values and self belief, right? I
mm,
believe that I could be passionate about creating and building brands for others and also myself. I believed that the integrity value is I don't need to work with assholes. I don't need them in my orbit. I don't need to have them as clients, friends, family members, whatever. And the third one is the delivery piece. I knew that I could deliver. It didn't matter what other people thought. It's if I could deliver, I would create that energetic match for the people that did believe in me, and that would actually create and build a powerful business. And so it did. So in answer to your question, I think my key learning is that rejection is actually a truly good asset. And
mm,
that if you really trust yourself and believe in the idea that you have, whether or not it's to create and start your own business, whether it's to partner with someone else, whether it's to get that board role or that promotion, it's all about the energetic match and how you step into it that allows you to believe that it will come true and you can make the magic happen.
yes, I love that for so many reasons because rejection's interesting because you've got the choice in terms of how you handle that. So you can use it as fuel like you have, or you can really let it eat away at your confidence and, self-belief, and it can take you down a really dark hole. Um, but and this is the key thing I think you've taught me as well, which is about the values and being anchored to those. Like, and when you are, you can make decisions so much clearer and more confidently, like you say, but so much quicker. as well.
Well, yeah, and it strips out what is not meant for you.
Mm,
So we talk about, mindset as a leader, and I know that
mm,
I've, spoken about this a lot with you as well. It's that not everything is meant for us. Some
mm,
opportunities are meant for other people, but if you can actually walk through the doors with grace and gratitude and understand that the doors that are meant for other people are their life lessons or their opportunities, something bigger and better is going to come along for you. It always does. You
mm,
just need to believe that something better is ahead of you. But
mm.
if you can do a really simple mindset switch, and we talk about it in our Powerful Steps community a lot, is that 45-second mindset rule. It's if you believe that you want to do something, you can step into that mindset within 45 seconds, right? 45
Yeah.
seconds, or you can procrastinate and play the victim and go into 45 minutes or 45 years.
Yeah.
When you are in your full alignment as a leader, as an innovator, as someone who is passionate about change, whether it is, a team that you're leading, a business that you're leading, or even a product or a service that you're creating, you want to be in an energetic match so that you're aligned to the right people and the right opportunities. And, Matthew McConaughey calls it the green light process.
Yeah.
And it honestly is. It's like follow the green lights of your life, and there the answers will appear.
Yes, I love that so much. So, for someone who is listening today and they're feeling like their self belief is at an all time low, where do they begin? Is it that they need to get clear on their values, or do you have a first step in terms of rebuilding that inner confidence?
I think the confidence comes from a lack of understanding about the power that we all have within us. And if you don't actually look at the power of your own story from a personal and business perspective, you are never ever going to walk into a room and magnetize and attract what you want. So if we go back to the basics, Julie, it's that we all have the hero journey. And I know that you've got this incredible story with so many golden threads in it as well that has allowed you to achieve the success that you have today. Every single person listening to this podcast has the same golden thread. They just need to take ownership of it. So, where I say, how do you claim your power? How do you own your story? It sounds so crazy, but it's actually pretty simple. You just simply open up a Google Doc, and you can do this in January because this is a New Year podcast, and you start writing the story of your life. And you write it with heart, you write it with integrity and authenticity, and you break it into 5 parts. And the first part is always, okay, well, go back to your childhood. What kind of a family did you grow up in? What was that experience? Where did you live? What did you learn? What were those moments that you remember that shaped you into the woman that you are today? Or for the men that are listening, the same thing. Part two of the story is always like, okay, well, what did you want to be when you left school? So I knew that I wanted to step into something that was global. I knew that I loved, the different people. I knew that I loved the power of storytelling, but I also write in part two of my story that people wanted to box me because my parents
Mm.
wanted me to marry, be an interior designer, have a few kids, and life would be over. So in part two of my story, I really, in that Google Doc, I'm thinking about, okay, well, this is what people wanted me to be, but what did I want to be, right? So there's two
Mm.
sides to it, which cracks open part three of your story, which is always, okay, well, who are you when you succeed in your career? What were those defining moments? And you break it down. So if I look at my career, I started my own business when I was 24. It was created off rejection. Yeah. But I was like, no, I'm going to do this. I grounded my every move to my values, my intent, my purpose. I attracted the world's top performing brands, celebrities, and influencers. Then you break it down and you go, okay, well, that's great, Tori, but what were the results? So, what am I known for? One of the most successful retail launches in Australian history, if not the world, for Interdex. Break it down again and go, well, what was that? How do you explain that? Not only to yourself to remember, to bring you back to that confidence piece of how you created that. What were the statistics? So, I will say, you know, it wasn't me that just launched Zara into Australia. It was a team, but this is what we created. 22,000 people came through on the day of launch, $1 million in sales. We thought that the queues would last a week. They lasted 3 months. look into that Google Doc and go, well, how did you feel about that?
Mm,
How did you create that magic? What did you learn from it? So if I go, well, what did I learn from that experience? Is we are all equal, because that was the Zara philosophy. Everyone is to be treated the same. So how did that take me into part 4 of my story, which is always, that game changing moment? And you and I have both had health scares. Mine was a near death experience 10 years ago where my appendix burst unexpectedly. I lost 8 kilos in 5 days. I was in a coma. I had to rewire my entire life. And I had to ask myself, well, am I happy? And the answer was no, I wasn't. So in that, I had to learn and understand what was going to make me happy. And it was in
mm,
that again, you drop in, okay, well, when you're unhappy in this part of your story, and again, we're tapping it back into how do you get the confidence and the self belief? Who was the person that got you out of that? So for me, it was a surgeon handing me a piece of paper saying, a happy heart is a magnet for miracles. Start making your decisions, not just based on your values, your intent and purpose, Tori, but what makes you happy. Stop people pleasing. Step out of judgment. Claim your power. Yeah. So part 5 of my story was like, yeah, I'm in my power. I don't need to listen to all of this crap that's going on in my life. Yes, I've had success, but I've also had survival. I'm now at an opportune position in my life where I don't care what people think, right? Which
that's
becomes your power, right? Because you
mm,
understand the power of your story because you've taken the time to get to know yourself and you go, that's my lane. That's where I'm going. And so it becomes so crystal clear about all the good stuff that you've done in this lifetime, but also the challenges that you've faced and how you've overcome them. So you're reminding yourself of just how powerful you really are when
mm.
you set your mind to transform into the next phase of your life. So that's literally how you find that confidence, is actually giving back to yourself some love and self-care and saying, I am worth it. And I am going to take that next powerful step forward, but it's going to be on my own terms.
Yes, absolutely. Such a great story. I love how you narrate your story. It's so crystal clear. And those game-changing moments that you have then leveraged to create, even more of a fully aligned life for yourself and create your happiness and your happy heart. And I think that, when I was first faced with doing that exercise, of course, you think, I don't know, my life's not exciting. I haven't done anything amazing like that. But you've got to use that language that Tori has just spoken about, which is I am, I will. It's very empowering. It's very positive, and it's like, you will do it. So,
Mm.
and just got to focus forward. And while you're looking back, it's focusing for like, what can I learn? What can I learn? What can I learn? And it empowers you to do so much with all of that information that you're going to have on that Google Doc or wherever you choose to write it.
You know what? It also gives you the confidence. And I know we chat about this quite a lot because your narrative has changed from corporate into entrepreneurial, into a health scare, into leveling up, into having your second book launch, and now stepping into another powerful 2025, right? With your business,
Mm,
Julie. The
mm,
thing is, our story is never over. And I want to
yeah.
give this example about the confidence is that, I was meeting with the ex-chairman of Disney. His name is Dick Cook. And, he's like, Tori, I know you like coffee dating. Do you want to go for a coffee date? And I said, yeah, I'd love to go for a coffee date with you. And he came to my hotel in LA and I was telling him my story. And we were talking about how self-belief has always been my superpower. And he goes, I'm really interested in your story. But then he said to me, but how does it end? Right.
Hmm.
And I thought, oh, there's no ending.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
came back with him and I was like, our story just doesn't end. What it does
Yeah.
is it gives us this beautiful narrative to be able to pay forward our knowledge and wisdom to other leaders to lift other people up. And perhaps that is my story.
Mm,
Perhaps Tory 1.0 with the PR and comms agency, it taught me, going back to that Google Doc, how to frame and narrate other people's stories, how to partner with people, how to view challenges as possibilities. And so when I look at Tory 2.0, I'm like, oh, I am so in alignment and in my lane because that first version of my story perfectly positioned me for the second.
Yeah. Love it.
So that's where you get your confidence. That's where you get your self-belief because
Yeah.
you know your narrative. You're like, boom, 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 I can do this. And for other leaders, I know you get so many leaders on this podcast that say,
Mm,
well, is my story worth listening to?
mm,
You know, I came from a small town. I mean, honestly, the amount of people that go, I came from a small town. I'm embarrassed. My parents weren't wealthy, whatever. I think to myself, oh my gosh, one day we're all going to pass over. We're going to be in heaven. Who's going to care about the size of your bank account, what town you were born in, what clothes you were wearing? It is completely irrelevant. Look
mm,
at what you have created and generated
mm.
from the fact that you came from a small town. What did that give you? That gave you insight into a small community. It gave you insight that maybe you could step into something bigger, but you weren't sure what it was. And then you can go back into the story and you can narrate all of those big steps that you took to get where you are today. So
Yeah.
never be ashamed of where you came from because there's a reason why you were born in that particular place at that particular time. You've just got to understand why. And once you
Yes.
understand why, you can pay it forward into how you
Mm.
can share that with others to become a better leader and, global change maker.
Yes. Absolutely. Love it. Now, you mentioned before that you've been a powerhouse in PR with Torstar. You've launched massive brands into the country. Like you've done some really big and I'm sure very challenging things in your life. Also launching, powerful steps and everything you've done with that. What is there a ritual that you do to really fuel that self-belief every day and I suppose look after yourself so that you can just step into each day the way that you do?
Mm. So after my near-death experience, I remember working with a Buddhist monk in Thailand, and he said to me, Tori, you really need to learn to quieten your mind. Sorry, you really need to learn how to quieten your mind and listen to the secret whispers of life. And I always knew that I was intuitive and I knew that I could see the runway of where I was meant to be. But it wasn't until I went through this process of finding the space for me every day to really listen, to
Mhm.
really understand, to really anchor myself to Mother Earth, that I was really able to claim my power. So that for me, it's non-negotiable. It's a morning and evening ritual now. I actually extended it. I do the morning ritual. It's 3 drops of lavender oil on my decollage, and I let the water of the shower just, sweep over me, wash off whatever it is. And I listen to what my body says to me,
Mm.
and I listen to, well, who am I meant to connect with today? What emails am I meant to follow up on? What is it that I am meant to show up and be for other people? And I think when you step into your day knowing that you are serving other people by paying forward your wisdom, because you understand the power of your story through that 5 point story framework I shared with you, you actually step into your day very powerfully. Now, that's great, but you also need, if you want to shift your energy forward, especially in the new year, and you want to really attract and magnetize at a whole new level, that you repeat this in the evening. So hopefully everyone's having a shower in the evening. I do.
Y- Yeah.
But if you do it differently, I don't know. But
Mm.
I do the same thing. I repeat it. I put the 3 drops of lavender oil on my decollage. And what are the 3 things I'm grateful for today?
Right. That's your
What am
gratitude
I
practice.
grateful for? So thank
Mm.
you, Julie, for inviting me back on your podcast. Thank you for being an ongoing client of mine that I love to see thrive. So what you're doing is it's not just about, oh, thank you, this amazing opportunity happened in my life. I think that's very ego based. I think when you share the gratitude, it's a collective, right? So I bring into my gratitude practice what I do with others.
Mm.
Yeah. So you're paying for the vibration and the energetic connection to attract more of what you deserve.
Yeah. I love that. So important. So it's basically hearing what you need to, I suppose, how you need to align your day, and then what you're grateful for in the evening. So people can apply that in their routine however they like. But
Yeah.
that's a really good foundation in terms of how to start and end the day.
And I must say as well, Julie, like we're all at the age where we are aged. And, age is just a number, but it's not like we're having sex in the shower with someone, right? So at the end of the day, we're in the shower on our own. Use that time to your advantage, right? To actually become a better leader, a better person, and someone who's able to attract everything that they deserve because you understand the power of what you have to give. And when we're talking about give, it's like you're giving as a leader, as a founder, as a creator, or whatever it is. At the end of the day, leadership is about giving, it's not about
Mm,
taking. It's about a
yep,
mutual exchange of energy. So the gratitude as well, when you bring it into other people, it's a really powerful mindset tool.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you mentioned before about authenticity, and you're often very vulnerable, and you encourage people to be vulnerable in their story because that's how people relate to you. But how do you balance showing vulnerability with that strong sense of self belief? And is there a connection between the two?
Yes, you've got to own the challenge. Okay. So,
Okay.
as leaders, quite often we don't like to own the challenge and vocalize the challenge. So,
Mm,
yeah. So, the authentic truth is about taking ownership of your part in the story.
mm,
So as a leader, I'm very vocal about my authentic truth, but it's because I know my story. Like you've just said, wow, you narrated that beautifully. It's
yeah.
because I take the time to understand myself, to understand
Mm,
my challenges, but also my success that I can then pay forward to other people. So as a leader, standing in your authentic truth means taking ownership 100% of who you are. So you can create something incredible for other people, right? Absolutely outstanding. But then you can say to yourself, oh, I could have done better, right? There's a little bit of self-doubt in there. What would I have
mm.
done better? Or what was my part in this that I need to own to show a bit of vulnerability? So I'm going to share something with you that I haven't shared before. But the women that
Okay.
came to Los Angeles were really taken back because we had an extraordinary time together. But for me, I had partnered with the wrong person. Yeah. And that
Okay.
person had not stepped up in the way that I had stepped up. And so I felt disappointed, right? So I, at the end of it, knew that everyone had had these incredible breakthroughs because I doubled down and worked extra hard, right? I gave it my all because these were my people. I wanted them to have an extraordinary experience. I wanted them to have the breakthroughs. I wanted them to have the connections and all of those things. So for my part of what I'd done in that partnership, I over delivered and I'd done that. But because it was a partnership, I'd been let down. So I owned it. We all went out for drinks on the last night and everyone was so happy. And oh, Tori, thank you so much. And I said, look, guys, I just want to say something. And I burst into tears.
Oh,
I
oh,
burst into tears and I said, I am who I am because of you. Thank you. They
oh.
actually gave me the gift of knowing that moving forward, I don't need those kind of partnerships. I just needed to get to the level where I knew that I could get in my runway. So, as a leader, you're going to try things, you're going to evolve. And if you can see that you need to give more, you give more. But then the reason why people stick with you is because you're truthful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Course. Your question was around vulnerability. And I, just so you know, I don't cry. It
Yeah.
takes a lot for me to cry. But
I
I
think
was
we're the same.
emotional. Yeah, I was
Yeah, yeah,
emotional
okay.
because I thought I have given so much, and I know that people believe in what I can give so much as well. And sometimes I think you've got to just show them, you know what, I am just like you. I have a
Yes,
little bit of vulnerability too. And here it
absolutely.
is.
Yeah.
Here it
Yes, I
is.
love that. And it enables people to connect even deeper with you, I think, because sometimes when people see you up there and you're so amazing, it's like, oh my God, I could never be like her because she's so like she's got it. I always get told, you always look like you've got your shit together. Like,
Yeah.
you always look like that. But it's like, yeah, well, that's fine. But behind the scenes, sometimes it's certainly not like that. So
Yeah.
sharing
You've
that I
done it
think is a
well.
real gift. Mm.
It is a gift, and I do want to just say as well that because I shared that vulnerability, 80% of those women are committed to coming again to Los Angeles with me,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So, and we'll get other people through into that group. But if you don't show your vulnerability, you are not being truthful to the people that you serve, and you
Mm.
can't become a better person.
Yeah,
You just can't.
love it.
It's not possible because you're wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And the biggest calling for women right now is to be authentic. It's
Mm.
not to be, me, 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 me. It's to be us. It's to be collective. It's to be, how can I help you? How can I share that vulnerability? So through doing that, these women have shared their most intimate moments with me, and I've been able to help them navigate on a much deeper level, which has also meant that they're able to attract higher opportunities
Mm.
because we've cracked the code.
Yes. Crack the code. I love that. We need that. And there is space for every woman in this world to be successful. So
Yeah.
there's no need for competition.
Yeah. And I think sometimes like you don't see when things are challenging as that it's competition. I said to myself, what is the lesson in this?
Mm.
The lesson is I am enough. Yeah.
Again, fueling your self belief,
Hmm.
even more so.
Even more so on a much deeper level,
Mm.
deeper to go higher.
Yes. Yep. You've been so generous in what you've shared today around how people can really tap into that power of self belief. So, what I would love to hear now on a final note is what's next for Tori?
Oh, Julie, this is always a powerful step. I
Always.
love this question. So, what's next for me is that really the runway is crystal clear. So, my husband and I've made the decision that we are going to be located between Australia and Riyadh in Saudi Arabia for the next 5 years. And we're placing America into that mix as well because we want to be at the forefront of what's happening globally for women in leadership. But also, we want to be learning and growing alongside the best of the best. So, you're going to
Mm.
see a lot of insights from us as leaders in Powerful Steps over the next few years, really sharing the power of the community and the connections that we've been lucky enough to attract. And it really is about having a powerful message to show that anyone, when they understand the power of their story and they stand in their authentic truth, they're anchored to their values, their intent, and their purpose, can achieve anything in this lifetime. So it's not that we're going to be based in Australia and this is just going to be our market. It's
Yeah.
time to ignite this global change and be a part of something which I feel is deep, meaningful work for anyone that is stepping into a leadership role to create and deliver impact. So, igniting global change is the simple answer.
Love it. As you say, it's always a powerful step for you. And I hear there's a second book on the cards.
There is. There are actually a few books on the cards.
Oh,
So I am writing my second book. I'm going to the desert to write it, Julie, literally.
oh, okay. Yeah,
I will
yeah, of
be,
course.
yeah, I'm going to be in Riyadh writing my book over Christmas, and that will come out late next year. And it is really about how to teach leaders to step into their authentic truth with that 45-second mindset rule. So, self belief is your superpower taught me that, it was a part of my story that I shared. It taught me that I can ignite change with women by stepping forward. And one of the best things is, sometimes I get stopped in the street, like I did on the weekend in Bondi. And this woman just said, "Do you mind if I hug you?" And I was like, "Of course, no problem." Like, she goes, "I've not only bought your book and read your book, I have markers in it. I travel with it. I open it when I'm feeling I need a little bit of inspiration. Thank you so much." And I'm like, okay, it's time to really dedicate to share more of that wisdom with other people.
Beautiful. So
Yeah.
good. Tori, thank you so much for being part of Leading You today.
You are most welcome anytime, Julie. And thank you for coming on this powerful journey with me as well.
Thank you.
Welcome.